championship fight itself. The sandy track at Southwick, Massachusetts is unpredictable. The terrain shifts from lap to lap, always changing, morphing each obstacle, every turn, into a monster, ready to take your season away. For the three men hoping to capture the 450 crown, this is the season's wildcard race. Survive Southwick and stay in the battle for 2 more rounds. Win at the famous MX 338 and carry bragging rights that you have conquered America's toughest motocross track. Gate drop for round 10 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is next.
From a very rainy Moto-x 338 facility in Southwick, Massachusetts, it's the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championships Rockstar Energy Drink, Southwick National. Let's take a look at the highlights of the first 450 class moto, which took place earlier today. It looks like the number 2 of Ryan Villopoto is going to get the whole shot, but he gets bumped and banged around by Justin Barcia. And the number 1 of Ryan Dungey is going to emerge with the lead with his teammate Brett Metcalf right behind. A rare whole shot this year for Dungey. Barcia, though, was not done. He was running in 4th behind Metcalf after Villopoto got by them. Here they go, a great duel for the number 3 spot between the 24 and the 17, and Barcia is going to secure that position and try to run Villopoto down. Then this kid, Michael Satile, the fastest qualifier today, a local product, went down, and then Barcia was out of the race, apparently with bike problems, dropping him from 3rd to about last. And he wasn't the only one. Chad Reed then went out with bike problems of his own, and we believe the points he lost in this moto may essentially eliminate Reed from championship contention. No such trouble for Dungey. Villopoto gave him a run late in the moto, but the number 1 holds on to be number 1 in Moto 1. Ryan Dungey taking your first race today. Well, everyone, and welcome to Southwick. Jason Wygant, of course, joined by 4-time AMA National Champion Jeff Emig. Let's give you the big picture storylines we're going to follow from the sand track here at Moto-x 338 in Southwick. First of all, Ryan Villopoto is coming in here with the momentum. Not only the series points lead, but victory at our last round of the tour in upstate New York. He swept both motos. Second in the first moto today, he continues his strong riding. But looking for answers, Justin Barcia, Chad Reed, not what they wanted in the first moto this afternoon when their bikes couldn't get them to the finish line. They've got to figure something out and figure something out in a hurry if they want to get back in contention. And Hurricane Irene making a surprise appearance in the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship, and she might wreak more havoc on the field than any of the riders. It definitely will have an impact on the racing today because it's been raining for a long time. So, Jeff, we throw it to you. We're on a sand track, which is ordinarily rough, ordinarily slippery, very difficult. Now we're throwing Hurricane Irene and the rain in the mix. How difficult is it going to be today to just get to the finish line?
Well, it is proved to be difficult for some riders, either by their own riding or by the machine. And so we've taken a racetrack that already taxes the body, already taxes the machine. It's really tough on the equipment, and it's made it even tougher. The rain coming down gives you problems with the goggles and water and all that getting in there. Water coming into the machine through the airbox, different things, you know, with the bike. So it's been challenging all around. But we did see the 2 title contenders, Ryan Villopoto and Ryan Dungey, both go at it. And Dungey had a great first moto. He was out front leading. But at the end of that first moto, Ryan Villopoto put on a real strong charge. But Dungey picked up 2 more points towards the championship. It's down to 4.
Yeah, and it sets the scene for what should be a great Moto 2 between the 2 Ryans, and who knows who else can get in there. And for more information on this race, let's send it down to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Aaron Bates, with a Progressive pre-race report.
Another huge upset as far as the championship goes. You can see behind me the Rockstar Makita Suzuki team is vigorously working, trying to get this bike, to get it prepared, get it down on the line. Ryan Dungey is actually down on the start gate right now, but you can see his mechanic and the whole team, Mike Gosler. They have put it together, they have pulled it apart, they tried starting it again. At this point, they've got it back apart. They are working, doing everything they can. They still have a few moments to get this bike down onto the start line before it's too late. His entire family is here. They're looking. Michelle and Troy are watching in a look of disbelief.
Well, yeah, I don't remember ever a championship being possibly decided like this. There he is on the starting line. He has no idea what's going on.
Well, I have actually been in this position once before where I was on the line as the points leader and the bike did not make it. And it was, an ignition problem. Now, at one point, this bike was running. and then it stopped, and so they took it back apart, trying to figure out what's going on.
And Dungey, just no team, no bike. The entire crew is up there at the truck in the pits, and he's prepping his gate perhaps to not even race. The championship could be slipping away from the team right now. Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world. By the 2011 Toyota Tundra, one of the most capable half-tons ever. And by RockyMountainMC.com, your one-stop shop for parts, apparel, and accessories. RockyMountainMC.com. Get ready. Get ready. Over here is the name of the game in the Rockstar Makita Suzuki pits. They are still trying to bolt Ryan Dungey's bike back together. They cannot get the engine running. There is your defending series champ. Only 4 points behind in the series. If he doesn't race this moto, championship could be gone, Jeff.
Yeah, it very well could be, and you can see the urgency. Ryan is looking on, where is my machine?
Unbelievable. Meanwhile, let's give you our track map brought to you by Kawasaki and the 2012 KX450F. Fully equipped and race ready. Jeff, take us on a tour.
I can tell you the track map that we have right now is one-dimensional. Once the riders hit the track after the gate drop, it is going to be very much be three-dimensional, and track is getting very wet. It's getting very rough. The soil here, when it gets really saturated, it becomes rutted as opposed to a nice, fluffy, sandy situation. So the bumps are going to form up much more of a choppy, small bump, square edge type of thing as opposed to a big, long sand whooping rolling.
And we've also got rain coming down, although usually the story is that sand tracks hold up better with rain than a hard pack track. Is that the case here?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, this place can take a lot of rain, but where we will see a lot of water starting to collect is at the bottoms of certain areas. When there's like a G out down there, around the second turn, actually, we talked during the track walk that it could be a real problem area.
Right.
And through the old finish line area where there's those deep dips.
So we've got track conditions to keep an eye on, a very dynamic track that's going to change a lot, and of course the dynamic championship chase, which has changed considering that Ryan Dungey won our first moto earlier today and may not be able to compete in our second moto. They're taking the bike off the stand, and that is the mechanic Mike Gosler. I believe that would mean they're ready to go down to the line. Is the bike running?
Yeah, the bike is running. Mike Gosler, of course.
Well, he's going to have to show some riding skills himself right now. He's going to hustle.
Get the machine down to the starting line. Possibly even Ryan could make the parade lap here. True sense of urgency here for Team Suzuki and Ryan Dungey and all the people involved in this, in this racing effort.
The parade lap is optional. The riders don't have to take it. So if Dungey doesn't complete this sight lap, that's not a problem. The issue is that he wasn't there with his bike on time when they selected their gate, so he will have the last gate selection. Explain that.
And also, Jason, we walked the gate during qualifying practice. I pointed out how when you are about the last 10 gates to the right, it cuts in so hard that it's a real funnel and a vortex going to the first turn. If your 10 gates are out, so if you're lining up 30 to 40, which is where Dungey will be gate number 40, you really have no chance at getting the whole shot here. So this is going to drastically decrease his chances of getting a good start.
Unbelievable. Dungey has the bike. He's rolled out on the racetrack. He's ready to go racing. Now he's got to overcome the bad gate pick. And where is he at mentally at this point?
Well, the one thing that I believe that Dungey can count on is to rely on his team to know that, okay, if this bike is on the track and if they gave it to me, it's 100% ready to go race. So I don't have to be weary. I don't have to question whether or not something's going to go wrong on the bike. You know, should I back it off? Should I check it out? But he does have the advantage of being able to go out now for the parade lap and get a feel for it and just build that extra little bit of confidence that, okay, I'm ready to go. He's going to need it because this gate pick is going to be a massive disadvantage for him.
Barcia in the lead right now over Brayton, Weimer, Villapoto, and Dungey, meanwhile, the rule was he had to get out on the track before the leader crossed the finish line, and he just made it out. So it's going to be wild here the way this race is breaking down with Dungey just trying to come through the pack and just try to score some points. So there is Dungey, and like you said, Jeff, he's got to hope that bike is 100%, because the worst thing that can happen in a motocross race is that that bike cuts out on the face of a jump or a situation like that. Even on a rough straightaway, you're in big trouble. Meanwhile, Justin Barcia out front on a very, very sloppy racetrack. There is Justin Brayton in the number 2 position. And there it is, Barcia, Brayton. And this track, completely different than what we saw. You remember the highlights at the top of the show, the first moto? It looks nothing like that track. But Barcia being cheered around by the fans. He is a local favorite, not from Massachusetts, but from upstate New York. He has ridden here a lot. Jeff, you said the first time you ever saw Barcia ride was on this track.
Yeah, and it was a very similar situation. I was out here for a ride day. I jumped out on the track with all of the young kids on the 65s and 85s. And here was this kid, Justin Barcia, ripping around on this 85, and he was incredibly fast. Signed him to a deal at Shift the next day, and so far, I mean, since that day, he has just completely been one of the standouts of the sport.
Okay, so Brayton in second, you saw him. Jake Weimer's third, Villopoto fourth, and Les Smith in fifth. Barcia, unfortunately for him, not a factor for the overall win because his bike broke in moto number 1. So he didn't score any points there. He's pulling away from Brayton at least early. You see the countdown clock at the top of the screen. 25 minutes and 2 laps left in this one. So it's very early into a 30-minute and 2-lap race. But for the moment, at least, Barcia, well, he's in position to win his first ever moto on a 450. And that's pretty good because it's only his second race ever on a 450. So Barcia's lead is 5.4 seconds on Brayton. Weimer third, Villopoto could be looking good for the overall and to make up points in the championship because he is running 4th early. We're trying to figure out where Dungey is, 39th when he came out after the gate drop. So Dungey, I guess at this point, his best hope would be to try to get into the top 20 and just score some sort of points.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we apologize. We have some technical difficulties here, and
there is Weimer and Villopoto mixing it up. Sorry to interrupt, Jeff. That is a battle for third between the teammates, and the Suzuki behind them is Metcalf. So a 3-rider duel, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Weimer on the 32. There goes Villopoto, who's already totally covered in mud. And then it's Metcalf right behind them.
Yeah, but you can see right now with Villopoto running up front, running second now at this point. You know, he surely would have known what was going on, even though he just needs to focus on his own race. What's going on with the Ryan Dungey, you know, before the beginning of this moto.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Meanwhile, it seems like every time we drop the gate in this series, you can count on a battle between the 32 and the 24. They seem to find each other every week. This week, they find each other in a battle for 4th, with Villopoto in 3rd, Brayton 2nd, and Barcia in the lead. It's Metcalf and Weimer.
And you can see the riders, there's so much moisture on the track. Notice in these turns, Weimer makes a little mistake, and that allows Metcalf to make the pass.
And another update, Chad Reed, meanwhile, is in 34th with Dungey in 39th. So today, everything has been shaken up. If you're Ryan Villopoto, you just got to try to get that thing to the finish, and you're going to gain huge points today. Reed is a victim of a first-turn crash, and we already know about Dungey's troubles. Wild day today at Southwick. We got a battle on our hands here at Southwick in the rain, the mud, the sand. Brett Metcalf on the 24. Rockstar Makita Suzuki takes a spot away to the Monster Energy Kawasaki of Ryan Villopoto. That is for 3rd place. Metcalf rides well at this track, but when you see someone overtake your series points leader Villopoto, you tend to think, hey, what's going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. Villopoto is riding the race within the race. His championship rivals, Chad Reed and Ryan Dungey, have had horrible luck today. You're Villopoto, you're probably happy that you're just still running. Here's a replay of the pass, Jeff.
Yeah, watch Metcalf around the outside, and he was pretty loose. He got the hops, trying to drop down in there and take the inside line. See, Villopoto, at this point, he's being really smart about this. He knows that he doesn't need to get into a personal battle with Metcalf. He obviously has got the signal that there was problems with Dungey. Reed is already so far back that it is really not a factor in the championship now at this point. So he needs to just have a good, solid top 4, top 5 race and finish finish this moto, and he could have a pretty substantial points lead by the time he leaves here.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're Ryan Dungey, you got to thank your teammate here, Metcalf, for at least taking a few points potentially away from Villopoto, but he's got to keep that bike upright. Obviously very deceiving how slippery this track is in spots.
Yeah, and if you notice in the sections where it gets really wet, that's where it's really starting to rut up. And what I mean by rut is rather than there being a line that's a foot or 18 inches wide of sand, like a fluffy sand turn, when you get where it's really wet, there'll be a rut that is literally only as wide as the rear tire, and the tire cuts in. Now, where it gets even more difficult, Jason, is where you get a wet section where it's just water all the way across, because there's actually ruts zigzagging under that, but you can't see that.
Dumbest Stuff on Wheels coming up. This is Jeff Emmig's favorite new show, I believe. Yeah. Dumbest Stuff on Wheels coming up Wednesday, 8 Pacific, or 8 Eastern and 5 Pacific on Wednesday. Dumbest Stuff on Wheels. It's an all-new episode. It's downright outrageous situations, crashes, mishaps, craziest stuff you've ever seen caught on tape. So don't miss more painful lessons the hard way on an all-new Dumbest Stuff on Wheels.
Yeah, see, and what they do a good job with on that show is they mix it up, between sport bike riders and the kids on skateboards and cars and rednecks and all kinds of cool stuff going on.
I hate to insult these guys, but we might see some highlights from that show in this race. This track is so treacherous. These boys are just trying to do their best to keep the bikes upright and get to the finish. I believe that's got to be Ryan Villopoto's goal right now in fourth. Here is Weimer in fifth. Mike Alessi sixth, Les Smith seventh. Jacob Morrison eighth, Marshall and Dowd rounding out the top 10. Want to apologize for any technical difficulties we have. Of course, we are near the eye of the hurricane, and we're not talking Bob Hanna in motocross terms. It's Hurricane Irene here in the Northeast at Southwick, just a few miles north of Hartford, Massachusetts, and obviously the weather is really having an impact on our show today, and of course on the riders. Here is Alessi on the Red Bull KTM. And then Les Smith, who is the replacement rider for Davey Millsaps, who's out with a knee injury on the Muscle Milk Toyota Yamaha team, will come through next on the 44. So yeah. Smith is happy.
Yeah, and he's putting in a great ride. And you see Alessi, look how rutted the track is getting. And what I've noticed is that the bikes are really, the back of the bikes are really moving around left to right, especially when they get in those wet sections. And that's what I was talking about, how you catch those ruts and certain things that maybe it looks like the track is this way, but then as the riders go over it, underneath it's got an edge that completely squirrels you out.
Jacob Morrison here in the number 8 spot, and this track is known for this. Southwick is a type of track that breeds strange things. Not only the bike problems for Dungey, got Robbie Marshall coming through here. You see a lot of privateers, a lot of guys who have ridden laps of this track put in great rides, and that's exactly what's happening. You got Morrison, who's from Wareham, Massachusetts. He's in 7th. You got Marshall, who's from Massachusetts as well. He's in the top 10. So as usual, Southwick, and here's their fave from Chicopee, Mass to 16 at John Dowd. So you're looking at 3 Massachusetts riders in the top 10 right now.
Yeah.
Dowd is in 10th, Marshall 9th, Morrison 8th.
And you know what's ironic about this situation is these guys have probably raced a local, like NSEC, NESC,
yeah.
race here on a local level, maybe a big money, a purse race.
Shane Sewell just put the move
situation.
on Dowd, though. I want to give a shout out to the kid from Indiana. But yeah, I know what you're saying. These guys have raced local races, and I'm sure they've raced them in the rain before.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. Maybe even the snow up here, in the wintertime. But
if you ever looked at the NESC schedule, it's like 100 events a year. So yeah, these guys are experienced. But Sewell doing a great job here. Both the brothers, Shane and Travis Sewell, out here today. And there is Shane getting around Dowd. Now here's what's on the line for Dowd. He's trying to hold on to that national number 16. The rule is he has to score 25 points in this series every year to keep his national career number. He needs to basically finish 10th in the 2 motos today to secure 25 points. He is in 11th right now.
And you know what? I believe on my fantasy league on allysports.com that I have Travis Sewell as part of my fantasy team, and it's Shane here running 11th this
That's what
moto.
you meant. You meant Shane. You meant Shane. So he's trying to put the pressure on Marshall, who is in 9th, Morrison in 8th. So the local folks who have decided to stick around in the tough weather have got some people to cheer for and some great things to cheer about. Stay with us. Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Progressive Insurance, #1 in motorcycle insurance, and by Rockstar Energy Drink. Rockstar Energy Drink supports the active Rockstar lifestyle and is now available in 18 amazing flavors in 19 countries worldwide. Well, a day of drama here at Southwick, and more has unfolded. Here's Chad Reed headed back to the pits with his mechanic Lars. Not sure what has happened there to the 22.
That makes 2 DNFs for Chad Reed. When's the last time he ever had a situation like that? He throughout his whole career as a rider and even the equipment that he's been on, I mean, he's been Mr. Consistent. Very few mechanical problems, very few races where he actually crashed out, even though he did crash out of the overall here a couple years ago, the year that he won the title. So Southwick in general has just not been kind to Chad Reed.
Well, hasn't been kind to anybody. Justin Barcia, who is leading this moto right now, should be in position to win the overall for the afternoon if you count both motos. He was running 3rd in the first moto earlier today, but then he ran into mechanical problems and his bike quit. So instead, he finished out of the points. So this kid is looking at potentially a moto victory, but not an overall. But I'll tell you what, if you're Justin Barcia, you'd be pretty pumped to win a moto anyway.
Yeah, I'm not sure that any rider has won his opening one this early when
on a
stepping up to the 450.
Well, mid-season, certainly, I would think.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan Villapota went 1-1 in his first 450 race, but that was at the beginning of the year when he had a whole year of testing to get ready. But I'm telling you, it's a lot different for Barcia. He basically just jumped on this bike about 3 weeks ago. And what's interesting, he's subbing for the injured Trey Canard. That is Trey Canard's bike through and through. Barcia has not changed a single thing on it since Trey rode it. Aaron, what do you have on the 17?
Well, guys, when I spoke to Dan Bentley, the engine development guy from Factory Honda, he had said that they found a mechanical failure. They weren't exactly sure what it was, but they believe it was an electrical gremlin is what they had called it. But they temporarily have fixed the problem. They're going to take the bike back to Torrance, and they're going to diagnose it further there.
Wow, an electrical gremlin. You know, it was the bad gremlin. Obviously, you know, there's the nice one, the cuddly one.
Gizmo?
Yeah, Gizmo's the good one. Gizmo didn't show up today.
Obviously, well, okay, I'm not going to comment anymore because that's just showing how old we are. Let's talk about Barcia, who has no idea what movie we're talking about because he is, what, I think 19 years old, one of the youngest riders in this 450 division, and only jumped up to this bike at our previous race at Unadilla, has had a rough go of it in the 250 class this summer. So basically out of the championship picture there, Honda needed a rider for their injured 450 crew. It's like a new lease on life for this kid.
Well, and that's, you know, well, let's take a look at the progressive hole shot, and I'll finish my comment because on the 250 this year, Barcia by far had the most hole shots, 7.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The next closest was another rider with 2. So he's really good off the start, and that's what he's brought to this Honda team, is being able to put this Honda 450 up front off of the start, just like he's done here in this moto, and put him in a position to win.
Yeah, and Chad Reed with a bad start, he ends up going down, and take us through this, Jeff.
Here's your progressive hole shot, and Dungey would have started way to the left on this gate. You see another rider stalled out, and as they funnel in this really tight vortex,
Barcia, by the way, had the bad gate pick.
Barcia was way on the outside because he had a bad pick with the DNF, and then he comes flying around.
And there's Chad Reed in the foreground there, down on the ground. So the one thing we figured is if you had a bad gate pick here, there was no way you'd get a good start. Reed had the bad gate pick because he had a bad first moto. He went down. Dungey didn't even get to the gate, but Barcia did the impossible. Pulled a start from the outside. That's the kind of starts this kid has gotten this year. He has been lightning out of the gate, and he might just carry it all the way to a moto win here on a rainy day at Southwick. Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Kawasaki and the 2012 KX450F. Fully equipped and race ready. Let's check in here on Ryan Dungey. He is your defending series champion. He's the man that won our first race earlier today. But this second race has been a complete disaster, of no fault of his own, though. They had to change motors between races. They couldn't get the thing going, and the gate dropped, and the race started without him. He finally got the bike going. Luckily, before the leader had completed the first lap, you're able to get into the race as long as the leader has not completed lap 1. They got the bike down to the line. Dungey started about, what, 3/4 of a lap after the rest of the field, and he has now worked his way up to 21st place. And that is amazing, because if you're into the top 20, you're going to score points. And the way this series has gone, every point's going to count. I know he's going to take a huge hit, considering the leader, Villopoto, is in 4th right now, and Dungey's going to lose a lot of points to him, but as Chattery always said, you got to be in it to win it, and every point Dungey counts is going to keep him in it.
Yeah, and that's the point here. I mean, the message is to keep trying. Certain things are out of your control. For Ryan Dungey, this bike issue is out of his control, so he needs to do the best that he can do. And it started at such a disadvantage in this moto, and it's going to be so frustrating. You know, I mean, it's just heartbreaking to be out there trying to do this, and he knows the implications of this bad moto. But after this moto is over, we still have 2 more races, 4 more motos, you know, tons of racing. And I mean, in motocross, you just never know. I mean, you go back to the 250 championship last year between Porcel and Trey Canard. You know, that whole thing went back and forth, and just when you thought the Porcel had it, he goes down, doesn't even finish either moto. Canard takes the championship, you know, so.
Let's go down to Aaron, who has a report on one of those Massachusetts riders we saw who was running up front earlier today. Aaron?
That's right. The Massachusetts native, Robbie Marshall, is sitting here in the mechanics area being attended to by his mechanics and also the Asterix medical team. He has got so much sand in his eyes from losing his goggles out there. He literally could not see anymore. He was in a lot of pain when he came in. His whole body was tremoring. They are dousing him with water, trying to rinse all the sand out at this moment.
And he was running in the top 10. Meanwhile, if you watch the action right now, you're going to think to yourself, Dungey is battling for the lead. Because check this out. Here comes your leader, Barcia, and he's actually closing in on the top 20 lap of those guys, and that would mean he's going to close in on Dungey. Here's your keys to the race, by the way, brought to you by Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Jeff, what do you need to do here at Southwick to go fast?
Well, Barcia somehow, with that bad gate pick, managed to get a good start. He certainly is keeping his momentum going, and he's got a great technique right now, right? And keeping clear vision. I mean, we just seen Robbie Marshall having problems, and it's not like a manufacturer thing. I mean, the conditions are so bad and so difficult that if you can be out front like like Barcia is right now, you're not going to get as much roost on your goggles because you're not battling with the guy, except for the lap riders. And most of the time, you're going to go past those guys at a pretty good click anyway. And so you keep your goggles clear. And if you can keep your goggles on the whole moto, that's a huge advantage over the rider that has to take his goggles off because the tear-off and the roll-off system fails.
So Barcia continues to lead over Brayton. Great ride for him. He is in second on the Musimo Toyota Yamaha. Metcalf third. Villopoto trying to ride consistent in fourth, but got a rider down here in a precarious position.
This is right at the finish line.
Yeah. And luckily the rider is off the track, but the rider's got to watch the bike. There is Weimer going by on the number in the number 5 spot. Then it's Alessi Smith. Dowd has climbed up to 8th. Sewell and Chisholm, who's back in action today after some injuries, rounding out the top 10 on one of the wildest days we've seen on a motocross track in quite some time. Justin Barcia continues to lead. I don't even know what story we should cover first here. Round 10 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Justin Barcia is your leader in this moto. But in motocross, you have to be consistent in 2 races in one afternoon to win the overall for the day. The bad news for Barcia, he was running 3rd in our first moto until his bike broke. So he's going to go did not finish and first for his 2 scores today. Yeah,
which is amazing because his gate pick with the DNF in Moto 1 was horrible, but he absolutely hammered the throttle off that Honda, off the start, and was inside of the top 5, which is just an amazing gate.
And trouble here for the 800 of Mike Alessi. Jeff, take us through what happened to Alessi, who was running in 6th place. Oh.
Alessi coming down through, you can see the ruts just coming down through here everywhere, and I mean, some of them go back and forth, and they just ate him up. Now, Mike's a pretty good mud rider, so for him to make a big mistake. You also notice that he didn't have his goggles on. That definitely attributed to his lack of vision and lack of judgment there.
So, okay, Barcia might win this second moto, but he had a bad Moto 1, so scratch him from contention for the overall.
So what's the story for the overall?
Let's explain this. Our first Moto winner, Ryan Dungey, couldn't get his bike going in Moto 2. He's coming through traffic now. He's in 13th. So scratch Dungey from a chance to win the overall today with a first and a 13th. The man who stands to possibly win the overall right now is Brett Metcalf, third in Moto 1. He has just made the pass on Justin Brayton to take over second. If he goes 3-2, he should edge Ryan Villopoto, who is looking at a second in Moto 1 and a fourth in this Moto 2. There's Brayton, the third place rider, on the number 10. Brett Metcalf could be in position to win the overall. And Jeff, you and I talked about it while we're at the break. If anyone deserves to win Southwick under these conditions, it is Brett Metcalf. This track owes him one big time.
It certainly does. 1 year ago in Moto 1, Brett Metcalf has the ride of his life going. Has got Dungey handled in Moto 1 and runs out of gas with a quarter of a lap to go before the finish. Just a heartbreaking moment for our friend Brett Metcalf. But he comes back on a track that he really enjoys, says he loves the sand, loves it when it gets rough and nasty like this, and is just putting in a spectacular performance with a third in the first moto, possibly a second here in the second moto, which would give him his first ever AMA overall win, which it's going to be a huge moment. Little less than 3 laps to go, and let's stay tuned to see if he can pull this off.
Yeah, well, it's mixed emotions then for Rockstar Makita Suzuki, because Dungey, a heartbreak for him, not getting that bike going in the second moto as the team worked feverishly. He's going to lose a bunch of points. But on the other hand, Metcalf, his teammate, might win the race. Let's check out Villopoto here, who is running in fourth, just trying to collect points.
Yeah, you talk about bittersweet for Suzuki.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're glad to see Metcalf win, but they're still not going to be too pumped when this day is over. But Dungey's doing a good job. He's up to 12th. He won't lose too many points, actually, to Villopoto.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to mention is last year we had that situation with Metcalf and Short who were battling. And they all, you know, when it all went down, he didn't end up losing that many points because of the effort. I'm talking about Short.
Yeah, so Dungey in 12th and looking to make more moves. Trying to figure out, was that Ben LeMay, the 11th place rider? Yes, it was. So Dungey has made another pass. What an effort in the sand, the mud, the rain on a bike that he's probably not sure what was right or what was wrong with it. He has done nothing but just nothing else but just dig down deep. He'll ask questions when the race is over. This is one of the all-time hero efforts to try to score any points at all. And now that he's in 11th, I believe you scored 10 points for that. Villopoto,
correct,
in 4th, I believe you get 18. The Villopoto's only going to make up 8 points on him if it ends like this, and Dungey gained 3 on him in the first moto, so it'll only be a 5-point swing at the end of the day. Way to salvage it for Dungey, and there's still 2 laps to go.
Yeah, but for Dungey, he had just made his way past LeMay, and it's not that far. Chisholm is in 10th, and Shane Sewell is in 9th, and Dowd's in 8th. And all 3 of those riders are fairly close to where Dungey is right now. And you never know if one of those riders might mistake Dungey as being the leader, right? So he comes by, you know, there's...
Good point. Yeah, because Dungey's similar track position, actually, to Barcia, who is your race leader. So, yeah, they might think, well, Dungey's fast guy. Maybe he's leading the race. Maybe I'm going a lap down.
So Chisholm, this is Chisholm right here in front of us, I believe, on the Yamaha.
Dungey trying to get into the top 10 after not even starting this race. The leader had nearly completed an entire lap before they finally got the bike fixed and down to the start. And then Dungey took off. And here he is making the move on Chisholm. And that's going to put Ryan Dungey into the top 10. Are you kidding me?
The effort that he's putting out is, it's just giving me goosebumps right now to see him charging this hard and to still working this hard and to be this determined and to just not give up in this situation.
And by the way, we go back 2 years ago. There's Les Smith on the 44. He is battling it out with John Dowd. These guys are not too far in front of Dungey with a lap and a half to go. Here comes Dungey challenging Smith now, trying to make up another spot.
Smith dropped back to 9th on that lap, and Dungey, this is going to put this pass will put Dungey into 9th place.
Unbelievable. So Dungey has literally passed 31 riders because everyone had started the race before he did. He has gone through 31 riders, sandblasted all the way. I can't even imagine what he can see at all. He's managed to keep the goggles on the whole time. They've got to be covered. Still probably get a little sand in the eyes.
Hey, Jason, Sewell was only a couple of seconds ahead. There he is. This is Shane Sewell in 8th.
Dungey trying to make a move on
Check
him.
it off.
Unbelievable. We go back to our leader, Justin Barcia. This will be his first ever moto win on a 450. It's kind of fitting because he got his first win on a 250 at this track at all, or ever at this track. So this place is very good to him. He's going to think about what might have been as far as the overall if his bike had made it to the finish in the first moto, but it's an equal opportunity event here. Even Ryan Dungey, he can't curse his bad luck at Southwick too bad, because we go back to 2009 when he had a points deficit in the 250 class on Christophe Pourcel, and it was Pourcel who had the bike problems in the sand, and Dungey took advantage of that. So what Southwick giveth, it taketh away, and no one understands that better than Justin Barcia, who had a 3rd place finish in the first race, ripped from his hands due to bad luck, and he responds in Moto 2 and is looking for a victory on the last lap. The people cheering him on, they are the hardest of hardcore motocross fans. We have a hurricane sweeping through here, but they're going to stick around to cheer a local product from upstate New York, Justin Barcia, going to make some history here with his first 450 class moto win, and these people are pumped.
A quarter a lap to go for Barcia. That's going to mean about a half a lap to go for Ryan Dungey, who we believe still is in 8th. And the next rider on the list for him would be John Dowd, local boy, local man, father of 2. But when you look at the points, the effort that Dungey has put in, if Dungey finishes 8th and Villapoto in 4th, that's only a 5-point difference towards the championship.
Yeah, and Dungey made up 3 points on him in the first moto. It's almost a wash. Pardon the pun, on a day with a lot of rain and mud.
Dungey up to 7th, actually. Timing and scoring is telling us at this point.
Unbelievable. Meanwhile, let's focus on this. The kid does it. Justin Barcia, we talk quite a bit how he is not intimidated at all by the superstars of the 450 division, and he is going to beat them in a rough, rugged, and muddy Southwick Moto number 2. Through the eye of Hurricane Irene, Justin Barcia wins his first ever 450 moto here at Southwick. We'll talk to a very happy winner when we return. Speed's coverage of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship is brought to you by Lucas Oil. Made in America, sold to the world. And by the 2011 Toyota Tundra, one of the most capable half-tons ever. Welcome back to perhaps the wildest day we have ever covered in this event. We'll start it out with the drama in Moto number 1. And it was drama for Justin Barcia, who was riding well in 3rd. There's Chad Reed. He goes out with mechanical troubles, running 4th. Barcia, who was running 3rd, he goes out in mechanical troubles as well. There's Reed. You can basically scratch him from championship contention, and then Reed ran into trouble in Moto 2 as well with his bike. Dungey takes the first moto win, so all the luck is shining on the number 1 until they can't get his bike running for the second moto. Apparently they had a problem at the end of Moto 1. They got the bike to the finish, swapped the engine out, but couldn't do it in time. The gate dropped without Dungey. There's Dungey walking around back there. Then Justin Barcia had a terrible gate pick because of the bad finish in Moto 1. Somehow grabs the whole shot. There is Reed on the number 22, down in the first turn. Dungey joins the race late and miraculously starting the race 3/4 of the lap down would rally to finish 7th. Reed, meanwhile, ran into trouble with his bike again, so he finishes neither moto today. Justin Barcia wins the moto. And through all that, Ryan Villapoto extends his points lead, and Brett Metcalf wins the overall. Can you keep track of all that? We'll try to help you out a little bit with our results here in Moto 2. Barcia the winner, Metcalf by virtue of that 2nd place finish, and a 3rd in Moto 1 will win the overall. More on that later. Just focus on that top 10 and notice that Villapoto only finished 3 spots ahead of Dungey when it was all said and done.
And that right there, that ride by Ryan Dungey to work his way up to 7th.
Might have saved the season. Let's go down to Barcia on the podium with Aaron.
Only his 2nd round in the 450 class, and you managed to come out on top. Justin, what did you do, and how did you manage to pull this off in such a short period of time?
Honestly, I have no idea. The first moto was just some bad luck, and I knew I could ride the sand good. This is my favorite place, and I just went out there, far outside, got a great start, charged the whole time. The whole Honda team, the Geico, everyone, they did so great today, and all my mechanics, thanks a lot.
It was off to a rough start today, but congratulations on having the victory.
Well, who knows? It could have been an overall for Barcia, but his bike ran into trouble in Moto #1, but pretty much everybody had bike troubles today, so you can't really blame that on the teams or the equipment. Mother Nature dominated this one. All right, we're going to take a break here and try to sort this all out. Villopoto adding a few points to his lead over Dungey. Brett Metcalf going to celebrate his first ever overall. Crazy stuff here at Southwick. Welcome back to the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship Rockstar Energy Drink National at Southwick. And poetic justice for Brett Metcalf, who had a win ripped from his hands last year when his bike ran out of gas. He wins the overall here in 2011. One of the few riders who is able to be consistent on a very rough day today. By virtue of 3-2 scores, he is your overall winner. And Dungey salvages the podium. Hey, let's send it down to Aaron on the podium with Brett Metcalf.
Not only is his very first overall, but his dad is here for your first race of the season. Brett, not only did you accomplish that overall, but in front of your dad, where does this moment rank? And is this all about redemption coming in from all the heartbreak you've had here?
For my motocross career, this is the highlight, for sure. I mean, it's been eight years here in the U.S. trying to get a win, and this is incredible. You know, after last year's heartbreak, this makes up for it. Just thanks to Rockstar Makita Suzuki, Thor Parts Unlimited, my whole family, my wife, everybody that's helped. And that's just hard work, dedication, motivation. Stay at it, and it happens.
Congratulations on all your hard work paying off today.
What more do you need to say than that for Metcalf? Meanwhile, we mentioned Dungey salvaging the podium. He came in down by 7 points. He leaves down by 8. You'd almost not even know all the trouble that he went through today because he didn't lose any points. Reed, meanwhile, by not finishing either moto, is way back in the series. Let's send it back down to Aaron.
What a day for Ryan Villopoto. Ryan, you still have that red plate. Chaos was going on around you. What was going through your mind, and is this the point where you can start to smile a bit, or do you know that anything can still happen?
No, I mean, anything can happen. Just, you know, it's a bummer for Ryan. You know, as for myself, I don't want to win it that way, but, you know, it's racing and stuff happens, and definitely I got given a gift today. You know, I was just trying to get through that moto and, you know, try to conserve the bike and make it through to the checkered flag. So we'll go to these last 2 rounds, and for sure I need to be on it. I need to beat him. So you know, we'll see what we can do.
Congratulations on a solid effort. And Ryan Dungey, congratulations on salvaging so many points. Your heart rate must have been through the roof before that moto had even started, and then you had to play catch up. Are you happy with everything and how it turned out, considering?
You know, I really don't know. There's so many mixed emotions right now. It's kind of hard. You know, 1 minute I didn't even think I was going to ride. I thought I was done, going back to the pits. Over the hill he comes, and hop on the bike, and at that point, you know, it's just points and salvaging and limited to damage. You know, it's you know, I don't want anybody to take away from my team. You know, it's teams that it's because we finished in 7th and gained points, and that's the difference of finishing the moto, not even a finishing or starting. And Team Rockstar, Makita Suzuki, all the mechanics, you know, Mike, my mechanic, and. It's, hey, there's 4 races left, and it's not impossible, and I'm just glad we could get out there and pick some guys off and walk away safe.
This championship is far from over, guys.
September 11th, the NFL regular season begins with a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. First, the Falcons take on the Bears in Chicago as 2 of the NFC's best go head-to-head. Then it's the Giants taking on their rivals, the Redskins, in Washington, D.C., or other regional action. Coverage begins September 11th, that's Sunday, with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL pregame show. That's noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check out local listings for the games in your area. Jeff, no games out here. This is the real deal. Ryan Dungey salvages season. Good work praising his team, actually.
Yeah, and that was a big statement by Ryan, and that was a big ride for him to come out and to not give up, not just to you know, walk away. The bike showed up. He put in an incredible effort, loses 1 point on the day, 8 points behind in the championship. Villopoto plays it clean. But, man.
Hey, speaking of not giving up, how about Brett Metcalf finally getting his win after nearly a decade of racing here in the U.S.? Big congrats to him. For Aaron Bates, Jeff Emig, I'm Jason Wygant. Thanks for watching a day we'll never forget in AMA Motocross.